What's up, football fans? I'm Youth1 National Scouting Director and Football Editor Al Pops. I'm here with my West Coast man, Ryan Lance, and this week at Youth1, we're breaking down the FBU National Championship Tournament. It's the biggest party in youth football. We're here to preview all 64 teams and the top players in each region with the best chance of making an impact in the tournament. The FBU National Championship Tournament is broken down into 4 regions: the East, the South, the Plains, and the West. Today, we're taking a look at the East region, which is broken down into 4 regional sites: New Hampshire, Connecticut, Indiana, and Northern Virginia, with 4 teams at each site. Let's start with the teams in the New Hampshire bracket. First up, we've got Massachusetts. For Massachusetts, the head coach is Andrew Nashotti. Bryce Gallagher leads this team. He's from Rainham, Massachusetts, the best all-around athlete in the OCYFL. He's got great speed and toughness as a running back, plus great ball skills and instincts as a safety. The next best player, Ed Duggan, out of Nobles. He played varsity this year as an 8th grader. 6'3", 180 pounds, strong with great athletic ability. He'll play the spread quarterback and safety. Fantastic all-around athlete. He will be a D1 player when it's all said and done. One of the best kids to ever come out of Team Massachusetts. Pat Henry is another player to watch out of Salem. He's a defensive end, tight end. Big and tough with a great pair of hands. He's the best defensive lineman on last year's 7th grade team and returns this year as an 8th grader. He is much bigger and much better than last year too, so watch out for him. Leading the offense will be Henry Rentz, a quarterback out of Thayer. He's a smooth quarterback that can make all the throws. His best attributes are that he's very smart and very athletic. It's a great combination to have as a youth quarterback. To prove how athletic he is, he's also one of the best New England lacrosse players for the class of 2019. Rounding up the studs for Team Massachusetts, Jaden Doughton, a wide receiver out of Arlington. At the tryouts, he blew coaches away. He's big, fast, great hands, should be the deep threat for the offense, also one of the best basketball players in all of the state of Massachusetts.
That was Team Massachusetts, Ryan. Now, the team they're taking on in the first round is one of the most experienced teams in the entire tournament, Team New Hampshire.
The New Hampshire team is led by head coach Brandon Jordan. Leading the team will be Thomas Fowles. He's a prototypical receiver, and he's got great size and speed, and has recently run a 5.15 40-yard dash. Also joining the team will be Dante De Lorenzo, who is a fullback defensive end. He's a complete package of size and speed and agility, and has a high football IQ. Ezra Jennifer will also play tight end and defensive end, and to sum it up, he's a football player. He's got great size, speed, quickness, explosiveness, attitude, and coachability. He is a coach's dream or nightmare depending on what uniform he is wearing. Other players to watch on Team New Hampshire include Henry Bork, who's a quarterback and safety, Dan Hayes, who's also a quarterback, and Tyreek Knoll, who's a running back defensive back.
Welcome to the Empire State, home of the World Trade, birthplace of Michael Jordan, home of Biggie Smalls, Rockefeller headquarters.
Moving on to the next game in that regional site, Team New York is led by Jerry Thompson. Last year, Team New York lost to Rhode Island 20-14 in round 1, but this is a new-look New York team. They have a bunch of good players to watch, and we're going to start with Tylen Scott, a quarterback at the Hudson Valley Admirals. He can do both. He can run, he can throw. He's not the tallest guy, not the biggest quarterback in the tournament, but he seems to get the job done very well up there in the Yonkers, Hudson Valley area. Another player to watch, Scott Stenstrud, who is actually the regular season teammate of Tylen Scott. So Stenstrud at a wide receiver, look for those two to connect offensively and for him to be the go-to target. Now moving on, we're going to look at the offensive and defensive line with Elijah Shambles out of the North Yonkers Knights youth football organization. He's going to be your center, your defensive tackle. Nice size in the middle of the line on both sides. Also on the offensive and defensive line is Cameron Polemini Hegarty out of Harvey Middle School. He's probably the biggest kid on this New York team. He can play tackle, he can play guard. Defensively, he's a big road grader. He can clog up that middle very well, but also does have some quickness if he needs to get into the backfield. Last player is Joe Rada, also out of Yonkers, teammate of Chambles, teammate of Polemini Hegarty. Rada is also a running back on the offensive side of the ball, so that speaks to his athleticism as a defensive end. He draws out the run to the sides. He can make some good pass rush moves if he needs to. Look for Rada to cause some disruption on the defensive line.
Well, that was Team New York. Ryan, why don't you talk to us about their opponent, Team Rhode Island?
Rhode Island is led by head coach Frank Bumo. Last year they defeated New Hampshire 20-14 in round 1 before losing to Massachusetts 50-6 in round 2. This is a team that has been kind of quiet on who they're taking this year, but they're still working on putting a roster together. They said that they were reaching out to a lot of the programs in the Long Island area and the middle schools to find interest in the team. It's going to be a mixture of AYF and Pop Warner and independent league players. There's no doubt that they should have some real standout players come tournament time.
Moving on to the next regional site, Connecticut is the home for the next set of games that we're going to be taking a look at. First matchup, South Jersey head coach Blair Wilson. Last year, South Jersey, in their first shot at the FBU National Championship, fell 29-0 to North Jersey. Lucky for them, they get a rematch this year. You know, and South Jersey's got a couple players to look out for. Jordan Davis heads the chart. 5'6", 140-pound running back. Jordan is the game changer who can single-handedly take over a game for the South Jersey team. He's been clocked unofficially at a 4.8 in the 40-yard dash. Great power, vision, balance, invited to 2014 Top Gun, and we think Jordan Davis is going to be one of the top players to look out for in the South Jersey team on the offensive side of the ball. Sticking with offense, Tom Sharkey, a 5'8", 140-pound right-handed quarterback out of Verona, New Jersey. Sharkey is extremely poised in the pocket with a great pocket awareness and an extremely high football IQ for only being in the 8th grade. He's a born leader that threw for 800-plus yards this year and 11 touchdowns and a pass-happy offense. He was recently selected to the NUC All-American Bowl and will be an intricate part of the two-headed passing attack that South Jersey hopes to implement. The other head on that pass-happy offense will be Ahmad Jabber, 5'8", 150-pound left-handed quarterback. Ahmad is extremely athletic and durable left-hander with a very high football IQ. He takes control of the offense and can read packages very well from the defense. Very advanced for this stage of football development. Throws a great ball, whether short, intermediate, or deep. He's led 2 teams to the Central Jersey Finals for 2 consecutive years. Another player to take a look at, Brian Ewan, 5'11", 180-pound linebacker. Great play recognition, athleticism to play anywhere on the field, any of the linebacker spots. Sounds like your traditional linebacker that you'd want on your team. He'll be used both as an inside linebacker as well as an outside linebacker due to his speed and pursuit ability. Rounding up 2 other players for South Jersey to take a look at, Jamison Gauss. Jamison Gauss, a defensive end, 5'10", 160, exceptional motor, plays with a great intensity. You just know this kid's on the field. He's loud, he's in your face. He's one of those players that you really love to watch. He's a very good speed rusher off the edge and plays well against the run as well, especially on when the offense is passing the ball. Look for him to get after the quarterback. Last player in South Jersey we're going to mention, Jaden Key, a safety at 5'9", 140. He's an exceptional cover corner, but plays like a linebacker, making him a great fit for safety. He'll play safety for the 8th grade team due to his ability to recognize plays quickly and come up and support the run. Now, Rye, that's South Jersey. Why don't you talk about the players from up here in our neck of the woods of northern New Jersey?
Leading the Northern New Jersey team will be head coach Stan Dennis. Last year, the team defeated the South Jersey team 29-0 in round 1 before losing to South Connecticut in round 2. Leading the team this year will be a trio of playmakers that include running back Jacob Hune, quarterback Jake Tarantino, and wide receiver Adonis McGee. Hune has been tearing up the Morris County Football League, and he's a solid running back who is physical with great vision. Tarantino's from Clark, New Jersey, who's got a great arm and pocket awareness, while McGee is a slot receiver who's very small and quick in space. On the offensive line, they'll be led by Stanley Dennis and offensive lineman Paul Moore. 3 other players to keep an eye out for include Elijah White, Jordan White, and Sammy Valero.
All right, well, that takes care of the guys from northern New Jersey. You know, the tough guys here, the how about it guys.
That's right.
But now we're going to go to Team Connecticut. Team Connecticut this year is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. Previous years, there's been a North Connecticut and a South Connecticut. This year, they decided to become one team, put the best product on the field for the Nutmeg State. They're going to be coached by Ron Marsilio. He's been the head coach the last couple years. You know, a couple players to watch on that team. I'd be remiss if I didn't start with Douglas Harrison. He's a running back, a linebacker, a strong safety, a 2-time East Bay Youth All-American, an Elite 101 member. He's 5'7", 175 pounds, runs the 40 in 4.8. Harrison showed why he's largely thought of as one of the top 2019 prospects in Connecticut and the entire country. He's one of the best players to come out of Connecticut in a long time. He's balanced, he's strong, he's fast, he can do it all on the field. Douglas Harrison is the best player on this Connecticut team. Right behind him, Antonio Giano, a linebacker, 5'10", 175 pounds. Versatile player that was named an East Bay Youth All-American last year. This offseason, Giano continued to improve, had an excellent camp season, climaxing with a selection to our all-Top Gun team this past summer. Started at linebacker at his prep school on the JV level this year because his youth league thought he was too dominant to play with other kids his age. Other top players to look at for Team Connecticut. Campbell Holleran, a defensive end that's been unblockable all fall season long in his regular season home. Very fast off the ball, can disrupt the pass. Blake Runkle, a pulling guard that has great speed and strength. Jack Roberge, fixes to be a weapon coming out of the backfield. Roberge played on South Connecticut last year, and despite lacking the ideal size at only 5'7", 145, he plays with excellent speed and quickness, making him quite elusive. A couple other players to watch. Mitchell Jackson, TJ Walton, a pair of tight ends. Colton Nicholas, a 6'2", 185-pound quarterback with a huge arm that can make throws all over the field. Got a great bunch of potential. Looking forward to see what he can do in this tournament. And lastly, Zach Gladstone, 175-pound middle linebacker. Team Connecticut seems to be loaded again. Right, I'm going to throw it to you with Team Long Island. And if you've been following them, they've been keeping up with this success the last couple years.
Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
The Long Island team is led by head coach Mike Thomas. The Long Island team has lost a few players to injury, so they're still working on finalizing the roster. However, one player to keep an eye on that we know about is quarterback Gerald Ferrardi, who is a quarterback safety who was at Top Gun this past summer. He's an I-350 player in the region and was a Pioneer League MVP last year. He's got great size at 5'11", 135 pounds, so he'll be relied upon to lead the team on the offensive side.
The next regional site we're headed to is Indiana, and the first game we're going to look at is the Battle of the Cheeseheads with Northern Wisconsin taking on Southern Wisconsin. The head coach for Northern Wisconsin is Bob Monroe, and he's got a talented group to take a look at. Starting off with big Luke Mueller, 6'2", 270-pound lineman, plays offensive tackle and nose guard, grew nearly 4 inches and put on 30 pounds since last year. We're talking about a big kid here. Another good athlete to take a look at, Carter Robinson, a quarterback. He'll be returning for Wisconsin North. Robinson is a 2-time FBU Top Gun attendee and was clocked at a 4.9 in the 40-yard dash at the tryouts. One of the most impressive athletically is Andrew Stone. Last season, Stone played guard for Team Northern Wisconsin, but after an offseason of obvious hard work, the 5'10", 195-pound Stone was clocked at a 4.95 in the 40-yard dash, and this year transitions from guard to fullback. Two other kids to take a look at. Derek LeCaptain, solid all-around football player who performed last year for Wisconsin North as a linebacker. He'll also see time running the ball this year as a running back. He's exactly what you expect from a Big Ten state player. Powerful, hard-nosed runner. Last headliner for Northern Wisconsin, Eric Bargholtz. Another tough kid, 6 foot, 170 pounds. Will play running back and has the ability to run over kids. He's a tough kid who also is an accomplished hockey player. He played for Wisconsin North last year as well, and look out for him in special teams too. Other Wisconsin North players to keep in mind, Alex Batholzer, Riley Zerpel, and Evan Bernstein. That's all for Northern Wisconsin. Rye, why don't you tell us what the guys from Southern Wisconsin have in store?
You in the state of WY, so recognize I'm in the street screaming WY, raise them up high, look to the sky, and everyone just reply, this is WY, WY, WY.
Leading the way for Southern Wisconsin will be a handful of players that include Jacob Johnson, who's a 300-pound nose tackle who will anchor the middle of the defense. Also on the defensive side is Jaeger Clark, who's a returning linebacker from last year's team. He's very athletic and very strong and makes a ton of tackles. Returning for the team for the third year in a row are Carson LaPointe and Scotty Town. On the offensive side, running back Deshaun Brown is the most athletic kid on the team with good size and strength and was clocked at a sub 4.840 at the combine. Another running back who will join him is Dominic Hoffman, who's a very fast running back and always keeps his leg moving and is strong between the tackles. They'll be led by head coach Mark Town.
Yeah. And you say Shot City, Shot City, Shot City. Coming home again.
The next matchup in the Indiana regional site features the home team Indiana taking on Illinois. For Team Illinois, they are coached by Sean Green. And as usual, there's a couple players to look out for in the state of Illinois. Starting off with Christian Onken, a defensive lineman from Winona, Illinois. He can play any position, outside linebacker, middle linebacker, defensive end, anywhere you put him. He's got a special motor, he's a special player, and look for him to give 100% effort no matter where he's playing. The next player is Dominic Barbosa, defensive end, linebacker, fullback from Cedar Lake, Indiana. Very close to Illinois, so he's going to be playing for Team Illinois. Great player with a bright future, very versatile, very thick. You look at him, you say, oh, yeah, that guy is definitely a football player. Next player to mention for Team Illinois, Zach Adams, who is a kicker from Taylorville, Illinois. Guys, I kid you not, he could be an NFL kicker if he continues to progress and grow. Only been playing football for 2 years and can kick consistent 30-yard field goals and kickoffs 60 yards off a tee. Pretty impressive stuff there. His regular season teammate, Justin Wright, is a wide receiver to look out for. Great hands, good speed, also a great track and field athlete. He's got some nice size, good muscles on him. Somebody that they're going to be looking to get the ball into the hands of. Last player to really take a look at, Braden Woods. Offensive lineman, defensive lineman. With some added size, he could be a Division I player, according to their coaches. He's a man amongst boys. You can see he's already got the beard going. He's a little bit more developed, stronger, bigger, quicker. Somebody that, you know, opposing teams are really going to have to block and to run away from because of what he does. A couple of the players on Illinois to take a look at. Cole Campbell, a linebacker. Tyler McKay, quarterback, linebacker. Donnell Robertson, a defensive lineman. And Scott Frozen, a defensive end, also a long snapper, could have NFL ability if he continues to put in the work. Ryan, that's Illinois, but everybody knows in this region, Indiana is the team with the motto of unfinished business. Why don't you tell us about them?
This is Indiana, yeah, we do it big. Bossing on the Big Ten, you know what it is. Cause this is this is
Team Indiana, who is led by head coach William Rutherford, makes a return to this year's tournament. Last year, they were the East Region champion and lost to South Florida in the Final Four. This is a team who could very well make another deep run in this year's tournament. They're led by a handful of East Bay All-Americans that include tackle Addison Baton and defensive end and tight end Stephen Heron Jr. The overall leader on this team will be Jack Kaiser, who is quarterback, who's the unquestioned leader of this team. He's a great quarterback with outstanding overall athleticism. One of Kaiser's main weapons looks to be Bryce Kurtz, who's a wide receiver defensive back who has amazing hands and 4.840 speed. Another player on the defensive side will be Donovan Wright, who was a star running back on last year's team, but will be the top defensive back for this year's squad. Other players to keep an eye on include Dalton Davis, twins Holton Zoss and Avery Zoss, as well as guard DJ Bowles.
All right, guys, we've gone through the first 12 teams and we've landed at the last regional site, Northern Virginia. In this one, we're going to have Hampton, Virginia taking on Maryland in a rematch from last year. Last year, Maryland defeated Hampton Roads, Virginia 35-0. But this year, Hampton, Virginia is back with some new players, and they're reloaded and going to try to get some vengeance on that loss from last year. The players to take a look at for Hampton, Virginia, you have to start with Jake Lowe, linebacker, running back. He's a member of the 2019 Elite 101, an East Bay Youth All-American from last year, stud player, first team All-Top Gun, one of the best players to come out of Virginia that we've seen up to this point for the class of 2019. Extremely versatile, just one of those players that you want on your team. Another player to look out for, his regular season teammate, Alex Oates, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. He has fantastic quickness off the ball. Fires out very, very hard. Great placement on the defensive line. As an offensive lineman, he keeps those legs churning. He's somebody that you want to see blocking in front of you if you're a running back. And speaking of running back, we have Trayvon Faison, 5'3", 135 pounds. Clearly not the biggest back in the tournament, but he's extremely quick. He's a small back, but he gets the job done. He makes jump cuts better than most people I've seen in scouting this tournament. Somebody that Hampton, Virginia is probably going to try to get on the outside, keep him out of the tackle box, and just try to let him work on the outside and make people miss in space. A couple other players for Hampton, Virginia to stand out. John Ransom III, a quarterback. Simon Boyer, he's been a Top Gun attendee, a wide receiver. Noah Anderson at wide receiver. Trayvon Fazio at running back. And wrapping it up with Josh Hartley, offensive line. Now, Ryan, you got the big boys in this group. Team Maryland, year in, year out, loaded with studs. I was actually there at their tryout. Bunch of stud players on this team. Why don't you tell us about them?
We winning in that 21st century. All my trips, I see you. Red and black, everything. You know just how my team do. Land of the Terrapins, it got a good ring to it. Hey, College Park, I heard y'all needed some new theme music.
Team Maryland is another team who we're expecting to make a deep run this year's event. They're led by head coach Terrence Bird. Leading the team will be Miles Harris and Taquan Johnson. Johnson is 6'3", 260 pounds, while Harris is 5'11", 295 pounds. The playmakers on this year's squad look to be Keelan Robinson, who has 4.6 40-yard dash speed and doubles as a track star, and when he added in his vision and elite quickness, he's a threat to take it to the distance every time the ball's in his hands. Another player is Shane Lee, who's 6 foot, 200 pounds, and built like a tank. He'll play both fullback and linebacker on this year's squad. The star running back will be Devon Butler, who's a stud running back. Very strong, muscular, compact, and can explode in open space. Other players to watch include Jalen Hampton, Kennedy McKissick, Zachary Dixon, Jalen Green, Jalen Williams, and Jabril Johnson.
Putting an exclamation point on the Eastern region is Metro Maryland taking on Northern Virginia. With Metro Maryland, we have a first-year program. The primary league that they're going to be taking kids out of is the Greater Metropolitan Youth Football League. It's one of the largest age-only unlimited leagues on the East Coast. Now, Ryan, while Metro Maryland hasn't told us too much, Northern Virginia's got a couple players that we should know about. Why don't you talk to us about that?
Leading the Northern Virginia team will be head coach Brandon Smith. Last year, they defeated Hampton in round 1, 29-0, but lost to Maryland 26-0 in round 2. Garrett Dunford, who's a 3-year FBU player, he'll play linebacker on this year's team. He's great moving sideline to sideline, a big hitter, smart kid, and as a 7th grader, plays reckless. He's 5'9", 160 pounds, and plays low, and his technique is always on point. Joining Dunford will be Teddy Ervinitis, who is a well-disciplined, good athlete who will play center on this year's team.
So those are all 16 teams and the top players from the East bracket. Stay at Youth1.com for coverage of the FBU National Championship and all things youth football. And don't forget, get into the action yourself. Sign up for a Youth1 player profile and get noticed today. For Ryan Lance, I'm Al Pops. We'll see you at the next region.